Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Vancouver Rain Draft Quarter franchise mode here in MLB The Show 23. So, in last episode, we had the year 12 draft, and I wouldn't say it was the best draft for us, but it definitely wasn't the worst. We drafted a lot of guys with high overalls, not high potentials, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that these type of guys could be kind of like stopgaps, or they could outperform their potential. As you can see, Brady Shartner, who we took at 28th overall. He's a 69 overall, which is great, but he's only got a 78 potential. Then you got guys like Johnny Reed, 66 overall, only 79 potential. Brian Zinn, 72 overall, 74 potential. Vespera, 70 overall, 72 potential. Bonner's the only guy that's more of a project player, which I'm glad we got one because obviously it adds more depth to our third base pool a little bit. And then you also got Fuentes, who's a 65 overall, but only 76 potential. So I'm hoping that a lot of these guys, like I said, could be kind of stopgaps. Though, like for instance, if we lose big players to free agency in a couple years, these type of guys might be able to get into the lineup because of their high overalls. Or if they outperform their high overalls, maybe that potential goes up a little bit, and maybe they start growing into the 80s more instead and becoming normal MLB players instead of like kind of fringe MLB players. But anyways, that was that, and then yeah, we simulated a little bit more, and we had our biggest injury scare yet, and that is to Giancarlo Sixto. So this is going to be an episode where we obviously simulate the rest of the regular season, the season we make the playoffs or not. But this injury to Sixto, he's out for 1 to 2 months, which is not great, obviously, because we have not really the best catcher pool. But you can see that he will be able to return for the postseason, likely, if we are to get there, but we need to do it without him in the lineup, which is a pretty big blow. I don't think we've ever had an injury like that in quite some time. So yeah, hopefully this team could do really well still without him in the lineup. But anyways, before we get into simulating the rest of the season and seeing if we make it back to the playoffs, I do have a couple comments to go over. So the first one is from Michael Dost, who says, I would change the lineup as backup catchers shouldn't be hitting third in the lineup, and I agree with that. Let's go ahead and adjust our lineup. So I do like Brad Thornton's power a lot. He's not a contact kind of guy, so I think maybe having him in like a 4 or 5 spot, maybe a 6 spot at the latest would be good, because I know Ozzy could get on base, Steiner could get on base, Trevino could get on base. But yeah, basically having Thornton in a spot where he could drive in some runs, maybe get grand slams or bring in just 1 or 2 runs, something like that would be pretty good. So I think we'll bump him back to the 5 spot between Pip and whatnot, and we'll see how he does there. If he's not doing too well, obviously we could drop him back a little bit. If he's doing really well, maybe we move him up to 4, so that way he's in a better spot to get grand slams if these 3 guys get on base. But yeah, I think number 5 is where I am going to be moving him to for now. Like I said, I do really like his power game, but that's pretty much all I like right now with Brad Thornton. He hasn't really developed much, so hopefully he can be pretty good. Obviously, that vision and discipline still needs to go up a lot in order for him to be a really successful power hitter, but right now he's doing relatively well, so I'm hoping that he can continue that. And then we get into our final comment, which is from Crazy G, who says, not gonna lie, I yelled at my TV both times you passed on Diaz. And Diaz, like, I mean, for a pick, I wouldn't necessarily, like, I mean, it would have been good to take him probably over some of these guys that are high overalls and whatnot, but to be honest, I'm not, like, gonna say he's the most insane player, because he's more of a project player. So I'm kind of, like, it's not the worst, like, player to pass over, because 58 overall at 18 isn't terrible. 89 potential obviously is good, like, but we have so much starting pitcher prospects that I feel like this guy might get lost in the shuffle. Sure, it would have been nice to have somebody like him, but at least we're getting kind of guys that are more like to fill out our depth in a sense. Like this guy would probably be more like a number 2 option in terms of your rotation. Well, we kind of need more guys that are gonna be like number 4, number 5, number 3 even. So I don't know if Diaz would have been even a guy that could fit onto this roster eventually. He probably would have somehow, but I do not mind that we passed up on him a couple times, even though he is a pretty good project player. But anyways, those were the comments I got in the last episode. So let's get to getting the rest of the season done. I am not going to do any contract extensions till the off season, but this could be an important offseason for this team if this team somehow doesn't make the playoffs or gets knocked out pretty early on. We have a lot of guys up for renewal. I'm really hoping that a lot of these guys do relatively okay the rest of the season, and hopefully some of them don't demand too much money. So there is that. Let's get into this and see what happens, see what we're able to do without Sixto. So we'll follow a little bit technically of the double and triple A season, but we're obviously going to be focusing on the MLBs. So when does double A season end again? Quite some time still. So we can just go 1 month, I guess, with the MLB team for now, and then we'll see where we're sitting. So hopefully we're going to be doing good here without Sixto, because that's like probably the biggest injury I've ever suffered in this series. And mostly, oh, okay, auto on that. We'll go. There you go. That's a good little stretch. Go auto on that. Yeah, that's a really good stretch. We went, since we started this episode, we went 3-6-2. Love to see it. We're 63-51 now. We're starting to build up some ground. Obviously, the Angels are like the only team that's keeping up with us in this division, so we definitely got to watch out for them, because I would like to win our division. I'd like to hopefully not be in a wild card position at the end of this season. But if we are in a wild card spot, maybe we're going to be like a team like the Diamondbacks last year, who went on to win a World Series. So, but it would be really nice to get into outside of the wild card in a sense. Let's go another few days. Take it a little bit slow just because we want to be wary of stuff. Not a great stretch there, 4-3, but I mean, at least we still had a decent amount of wins involved as well. We're only still a game up on the Angels, 9.5 up on the Rangers, 12.5 on the Astros, and yeah, the Mariners are going to miss the playoffs this year, it looks like, which is kind of a surprise, because I'm pretty sure they've been a pretty solid team in these beginning years. Okay, so we still got a decent amount of time left. Let's go another week and see how we do there in this stretch. 3-3, so we're kind of having a little bit of a slide. Let's go auto on Joe Reeder. A little bit of a slide, but we're still a game and a half up, which is nice. You're going to have those stretches, though, where you go kind of like 3-4, kind of be more like 50-50 in terms of winning and losing. You're not going to win like 10-plus games in a row necessarily all the time. So let's go right till the end of this month. And that's a great stretch. We win 6 games in a row. Actually, we're on an 8-game winning streak, because if you continue the ones from the Minnesota Twins series, 8 games in a row, that's a massive stretch to hopefully get us into these playoffs. We're now 75-58, and look at that gap now between us and the Angels. We're 7.5 games up on them, and we're 8-2 in our last 10 games. This is crazy that we're doing this well without Sixto, because Sixto's injury, like I said, very massive for this team, but it doesn't seem to be slowing this team down at all. And he will be back within 2 to 3 weeks, potentially, which is great. Which means, yeah, he'll be back before the end of the season, it seems like, at this rate. It said 1 to 2 months, and it seems like he's maybe ahead of time, which is great. So there's that. Let's go to double for a second. They're going to be done on the 17th. So we're going to focus still on the MLB team, but we're going to go jump to see AA stats, obviously, once we get to the end of this. And then, as always, you guys can give me some feedback on who you think should deserve some upgrades for the next episode, because we'll definitely, well, maybe not next episode, depending if we're a playoff team or not, which we probably should be at this rate. But when we get to the offseason, I'll definitely do some upgrading and downgrading. But let's see how we do up till the 17th. Come on, boys. We need to call up 3 players. Oh, yeah, that's right, because of September call-ups. So we'll probably end up calling up the guys that were up here originally. And let's go to roster. 40-man, who's down there in triple that needs to be called up. Pablo Silva, I think, is going to come back up because he's a high overall. And he seems to be on a hot streak as of late, so we'll move him back up here to the MLB for the playoffs and all that. And then, we need 2 more players. Let's call up Ray McMahon. I didn't really like that I had to have him down there again for another season. He'll come up. And we'll call up Brian Morris. Yeah, Brian Morris has found his game. He's much better as a relief pitcher, so we'll probably use him as a reliever up here. So there's that, and then we'll move a couple players from single A over to double A, and then some players from double A to triple, just to kind of like fill our roster. But even though some of these guys aren't ready yet, we need to make sure these rosters are filled. So move those guys to double A, then we'll move some guys to triple. Let's go with Francisco up to triple, just so we're at the minimum at least. And maybe a shortstop. Don't want to do Springer yet. Let's move up Kellenberger. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's check our lineup and make sure we have this set up and ready to go. So, Silva's a reliever. That's good. Brian Morris is a reliever. That's good. Yeah, I like that. And then in terms of our actual lineup, Ray McMahon's now a bench guy. They go with Carrillo, Groves, and Schneider, and Berg. Obviously, we're going to have to send somebody down, I guess, once Sixto's back from injury, which, that's going to be a tough call. Very tough call. But there's that anyways. Let's go another few weeks till the 17th so we can take a look at AA stats. I should have probably looked at those players that we called up in their stats because obviously I think it got rid of them when I called them up, if I'm not mistaken. I don't like how it doesn't track AA stats like for consistently. Like it shows all the MLB stats, but why aren't you able to just see all your AA stats for a player or AAA stats? As that would be kind of nice because that way we could look back at all their stats instead of just like kind of going off that little bit of video. But let's go to the 17th and see how we do. Let's go autofix pitching staff, and yeah, let's go autofix, not lineups. AA needs their lineup adjusted, I guess. Let's go down to AA. Oh, they don't have a closer. Ponce, you're going to go to a closer. And we'll set up somebody. Actually, we'll leave it like that. That should be fine. And AAA is good to go as well. Actually, AAA needs 2 starting pitchers. Let's go with Gustavo Dominguez. We'll put him in the 4 spot. And I like... Oh, wait. Why did Kenny get sent down? I didn't send Kenny down. And Brian Morris got sent back down again. What the heck? Just because I went auto on that? You friggin' game, man. Why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? Didn't I just call up those guys? I know Kenny was up here. What the hell? Because we do still need... Oh, we are at 28 out of 28. That's a bit weird. Oh, William Halpern got called up too. You're going back down to triple there, man. You're not supposed to be up here. And same with Tom Becker. Why the heck did this game completely auto-adjust my my call-ups? Jeez, man. Did we have Rangel up here? No, we did not. Okay. Well, that's frustrating. Because Kenny was killing it, so I don't know why they're trying to just send him down. And we wanted Brian Morris up here as well. And... Who else do I send down? There's not really anybody else I would send down. Frick. Maybe I keep Brian Morris down there for now. Kind of like on a conditioning stint. Yeah, let's go back to Brian Morris down in triple. If it's going to be like that for now. Let's go back over to here and make sure our lineup is adjusted again. Frig, man, I hate when the game just auto does that. Okay, that's good. So basically the only one getting called up is Silva at this point. And then in terms of our lineup itself, yeah, we still got Ray. I think that's good. I think that is good. Let me double check down here. Yeah, we'll keep the rest of this pretty much the same. Ron Francisco needs to be a starter. There we go. There we go. Also, my computer's being pretty loud, so I'm kind of annoyed about it, but oh well. Okay, so there we go. We are ready to go and simulate more of the season. Let's go to the 17th now and see where we're sitting MLB-wise, and we'll take a look at some AA statistics. Oh my goodness, why did I not have 4 valid lineups? Oh, maybe because of who I called up in terms of batting? Yeah. Okay, so they need they need a third base, so Sammy Pugh, go to hell in there. I don't really care who's playing. And they also need a shortstop, which we will get Fletcher Sanchez in, why not? And then for AAA, they need multiple things as well. They need a catcher in. Let's get Todd Davies in there and change him over to catcher once we get another player in. We need second base. No, not second base. Shortstop. We will put in... You know what? I don't really know who goes in these spots. Oh my goodness. Let's just give Becker the shortstop role. I don't care. I don't care. And then we need one more player. Who else do we need? We need a... Which position do we need? Oh, a DH. We'll go with Kellenberger as a DH, sure. Oh, that says catcher. Never mind. Never mind. There we go. Swap that around. Swap this. Sure. There we go. Now we could go finally till the end of this. Sorry about all this random micromanaging. I hate when the game auto does that. Auto fix all. I don't know which one we always want to go with here. Let me just do this. Stop the sim for a second. Make sure my MLB lineup looks the same. Okay, it does. I don't want to adjust MLB stats. Auto fix. Oh, that's probably what happened. Is someone auto fix pitching staff? So AAA doesn't have the minimum amount of pitchers, so we have to go actually to free agents here and sign some pitchers for them. Since we had to call up some, so let's just go to the lowest overall pitchers because we can't bring in anybody super good. Take that, thank you. And take that, thank you. Perfect. And it should be good. I know those guys were relief pitchers, but it's still pitchers, so. We have to call up still one more player. Are you serious? Actually, no, we called up, wait. Oh, that's why we have 28. We did need to still keep Morris up here because since the injury is still the 6th, we're technically still underneath. Oh my goodness. Okay, Brian, you're going to come up then. And you're going to be a relief pitcher, so let's keep rolling. God damn, man. There we go. Now we get simulated, and we're doing terribly, but we're winning some games lately. And no! Are you serious, game? Why are you giving me so much critical injuries? Torn finger ligament for George Pinheiro, out 2 to 3 months. Well, you're going on 60-day IL, I guess. God damn it, man. We always get super huge injuries. Yo, that really sucks. Losing Pinheiro. He was doing so good this year, too. Almost 100 RBIs. Almost a 300 batting average. Jeez, man. Well, at least that gives Ray a better opportunity. I don't know if Buster Cross gets called up or not. Probably not. How long till Sixto's back? Is he almost back? Because if he's almost back, then 1 to 2 weeks. We'll see if he if I actually have to call up another player, because I'll call up Buster Cross meanwhile if need be. But let's see. Yeah, we need to adjust our lineup. Well, Ray McMahon at least is a great shortstop, so he's gonna get a good opportunity here. But I am just, man, I'm done with these big ass injuries. Our lineup is looking so much weaker though without some of these big guys. Oh my goodness. Ray, yeah, you're fine to be in that 4 spot because you got good contact, so I'm gonna give you a chance for now. Yeah, this game can kick rocks sometimes, man. Like the injury is literally like every time we get an injury, it seems to like, be like an injury for 2 to 3 months. It's not just like a one that's like day to day. It's always like 1, 2 months, 3 months. That's another big loss, but at least Sixto will be back soon. We do need to call up one player, so I guess I'll call up Buster Cross to give us more depth at shortstop for now, even though he's not really that great. So we'll move him to the MLB. At least that will give Brian Morris a chance to stay on the playoff roster. So, but yeah, we'll come up Buster Cross for a little bit, and we'll continue simulating until the 17th. What do you mean? Oh yeah, they need another player in the lineup. God damn, man. Aviators. We will just put in a random player here. What position? Third base we need. Yeah, sure. Gomez, you could play there. I don't care as long as we're getting players in those spots. uh, I'm just done with the injuries. Let's go auto fix all on that. Okay, so now we're at the end of the Double A season. Double A finished 37 and 32. They might have made the playoffs. They're one game back of the lead in the division. So did they make the playoffs? Yeah, let's take a look at their stats just briefly. So here's Double A. So Manny Colon looks like he had a pretty good season. Pretty solid, at least ERA wise and whatnot. 28 games started, 14 quality starts, so 50%, not bad. Blake Smith was pretty damn good. Yeah, Blake Smith actually had a pretty good rookie season. He's up to a 64, 28 games started, 10 quality starts. But yeah, that ERA and that WHIP is pretty good. I don't know if he was always a starting pitcher. He might have been used as a reliever earlier on, but still pretty solid on that front. Flutie, absolutely terrible looking. Raymond Chu, pretty solid, looks like. 27 games started, 17 quality starts, so I like that. And Pablo Cabrera, yeah, another guy we drafted. 27 games started, 19 quality starts, so shout out to Pablo Cabrera. He definitely deserves a jump up. Vincent Cho, pretty solid. Carlos Murillo, pretty solid. Looks like the pitching was really good in Double A. Darren Pulls obviously was really good because he's not usually down there. Tyler Workman, pretty solid too. And Ponce, pretty solid. So in general, the pitching, pretty good in Double A. We'll quickly take a look at the batting stats as well. Howard Springer in his first season, 7 home runs, 68 RBIs, a 269 average. Not bad. Julio Hernandez, 2 home runs. Is he a prospect? Yeah, he is. Okay. 2 home runs only, 31 RBIs, a 254 average. Pugh, 2 home runs, 28 RBIs, a 255. Segura, not really that good. Yeah, the batting on this team, not super enticed by it because there's not a lot of power hitting, not a lot of good average either. But at least the pitching is good. That's basically the main thing, it seems like, with this Double A team. Not going to read everybody's stats out because I just need to get ready for the MLB because the MLB stats is more important. So there is Double A. Let's get Triple A season done because they're done in another week. So we'll go to the 24th here. Hopefully our MLB team can win some games here. Sixto is no longer injured. Let's go place on bench for now so we can get him back into the lineup where we want him. I am happy that he's back. No offense to Brad Thornton, but obviously I'll take Sixto any day over him. Let's go. Sixto back in the 3 spot. I like that. That's nice to have Sixto back. Hopefully he stays healthy because we obviously need him to be that guy for us going forward. He should give us a good boost just because he's kind of almost like a captain on this team, you know? So I'll swap Brad Thornton out on all of these spots. There we go. Sixto back in the lineup. Happy to have him for sure. Okay, let's continue to assimilate to the end of the AAA season. We have 29 players and we need to send somebody down. So we do need to send down Buster Cross, which I don't care if he gets claimed, if he even has anything that he can get claimed. He does still have rights to go down. Good. There we go. Because he was just basically a stopgap until Sixto was ready. Oh my goodness. What are you doing, game? Sparbory out 1 to 2 months. I don't think he's in the MLB right now. Let's go 15-day injured list. Let's go okay, and let's adjust our rotation. Why is this game literally shitting on me every single friggin' injury? That's a big loss on the pitching department. Who wants to be the starting pitcher? Jump in there. Bobby Hyde hasn't been a good starter, but he's been a great reliever, so I'd rather keep him there. Kenny's been good as a reliever. Pablo Silva has not been that great, so let's move Pablo over to the starter. I know it might be a risk, but I'd rather him used as a starter, I think, than a reliever, because the rest of these relievers are pretty solid. So don't want to put Brian Morris in that spot because I know that his numbers have not been as good to him. So let's go another day, and we need one more player called up because of that injury. Well, who are we going to call up, I guess, from AAA? That's on our 40-man roster here. I guess we could call up Dominguez or whatever his name is. Ron Francisco is getting close to. He's been solid down there. Has never been in the MLB, I don't think, full time. But I would probably rather call up Dominguez because I don't think he'll address anything. So let's go up to MLB. Means I might need to sign another player for AAA because of these injuries that we're suffering. So AAA finishes 67 and 83, and they do not make the playoffs, which is unfortunate. AA also does not make the playoffs, even though they had above 500. Let's take a look at the stats for AAA. So Johnny Almont, and I don't know, 32 games started. 18 quality starts is pretty good, though. So not terrible. Tim Soto, how did Timmy do? 32 games started, 17 quality starts, not bad. Fernando Cora, some of these stats aren't looking the best. 32 games started, 15 quality starts. And Ronnie Francisco, or Ronnie Franchise, we'll call him. 5 games started, 2 quality starts. Yeah, it looks like some players definitely kind of struggle a bit. Rangel might be MLB bound soon, which is nice. Perez, 28 overall. That's one of the guys we just randomly signed to fill out some players. That's kind of funny. There's Norman Pena and Pete Tavares. Pretty solid from Pete. Not bad. Pistol Pete. Lineup-wise, Rodriguez had a pretty solid year batting average-wise. Todd Davies, not so good. Tom Becker doesn't matter. Michael Chu, pretty good season from Michael Chu. He might be getting close to MLB ready, which is great. Because obviously he was like kind of a project player when we drafted him. Kellenberger, really good season from him at the AAA level. I don't know about the AA level, but from the AAA standpoint, pretty damn good. Fletcher Hoffman, not good at all. On the decline as well. Maybe retires soon. Gomez, pretty solid in that little bit. Kobayashi, not the best batting average-wise. He needs to get that discipline up there for sure. Ono, Buster Cross, not the best. Montenegro, not the best. Halpern was pretty solid. Yeah, Halpern was pretty solid. He's very close to getting to the MLB as well. And, yeah, that's basically that. So there's AAA stats. Now we got to get to the MLB season done. We're 8.5 games up now on the Rangers and Angels. So the Rangers are all of a sudden making a good stretch. And the Angels are falling off a little bit like they typically do. Let's get the last of the season done. Looks like we are going to be playoff bound for sure at this rate. Unless we lose every game, which we almost did. I know it's 3 of 6. We got 1 game left. We have clinched a playoff spot. I don't know if we've clinched our division, but we will definitely take a look at that when we get to that point. So, last game of the season. We have won our division. Yep, 88-74. I don't know if we got into a wildcard game. No, we aren't going into a wildcard game. Okay. Oh no, we'll be taking on the winner of the wildcard game. So, we do not have to play a wildcard series this year, which is great. So, we're going to be playing the winner of the wildcard game, which we'll find out, I guess, for next episode. Or we can find out this episode if we want to, actually. That might make it a little bit better. But we have clinched the number 2 spot in the AL. The White Sox take number 1 again, just like last year. So, basically, Toronto's where we were last year, in a sense, and we are where they were, which is kind of cool. So, look at that. There's the playoff tree. Philly and Arizona are there. So, Philly's made it with Ned Thompson. Oh, boy. And Arizona obviously won the World Series last year. So, the teams that are already in the DS are very tough. We know the White Sox obviously took us out last year, got to the World Series. We know Arizona won the World Series last year, and then Philly has a lot of great players on their team. They're still starting to build up a really good core. Let's take a look at our player stats in the MLB and the awards to wrap up this regular season. Garth Howe kind of struggled a bit, ERA-wise and WHIP-wise. Like, he's not going to win a Cy Young this year, unfortunately, but definitely a little bit of regression from him. 17 quality starts out of 33 games is not the best, but it's not the worst either. He's definitely kind of regressing, which is unfortunate. Considering we have him locked up still long term, but I mean, hopefully he doesn't drop off too hard overall wise. Maybe he'll have a redemption year next year. Hard to tell at this stage. Sammy Gomez, pretty solid numbers from him. Hopefully he has a better playoffs than last year, because last year he got kind of lit up a bit. A 3.9 ERA, a 1.3 WHIP. 22 quality starts out of 33 games, so that's great from Sammy. He's looking like a really good pitcher to have for our lineup. Okay, so my Elgato randomly froze at this point in the video, so at least I caught it ahead of time, but I did already look at like the awards and all that stuff, so I will get to that and show you guys what happened, but let's look over the stats still. So Carbon Osuna, really good season from him. I will already say he won Rookie of the Year with these numbers, so this guy hopefully could help us out playoff-wise a lot. Obviously, it's a lot of a tall task to ask of a young pitcher, but if him, Howe, and Gomez do good, we could easily win games in the playoffs, because I don't think I'm going to be turning to Montero and Silva that much. As you can see, their numbers not the best, so I don't think I'll turn to them too often if I need to. Bobby Hyde as a reliever, not the best. He did play some games as a starter though too, so that probably contributes to his ERA and WHIP, but I think he still, as a reliever, probably was pretty decent. He's a good strikeout thrower, so that's something we always like to have off the bench. Kenny Ollinger, I think, is a perfect kind of relief option for this team. Really solid ERA-wise and WHIP. Definitely think he's going to be a full-time MLBer from here on out. Darren Poles didn't play any games, which is kind of funny. I didn't even think I called him up, but apparently I did. Oh, they called him up and they sent down, what's his other name? They sent down Morris again, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Jack Birch, not really sold on his performance this year. It's definitely much worse than last year, but he did have a good playoffs last year, so I'm hoping that he could do that again. Doug Rubel, better than Birch, but still these two guys, like the Rule 5 type of pickups, don't usually develop much for us. Ken Robert, not the best ERA-wise, but solid WHIP. I don't know if it was he was getting struggles because of when he was a setup guy, but still he improved at least from when we looked at the beginning of the year. Guzman, really solid numbers from him. He's a great setup guy, and he's almost pretty much ready to be a closer at this stage. But he's probably going to always be a setup guy for now since we have Dennis Lake locked up. And yeah, Dennis Lake was fantastic as a reliever this year. Almost won reliever of the year, but just barely missed out on it. Fantastic ERA and WHIP. And yeah, 47 saves. I really hope he could close out games in the playoffs, though, because that's when it matters most. But yeah, really good year from him. Then we head over to our batting department. You can see Antoine Trevino had a great year. 33 home runs, 101 RBIs for 308 average, which is fantastic. Glad I locked this guy up when I did, because I think he's going to just keep on getting better. He's only 24, so he shouldn't regress soon. But yeah, really good season from Trevino. Definitely could use an upgrade, but he's got the A potential already, so it's like, I don't know if he needs one much more, but still. Steiner was really good as well. Had a 290 average, 17 home runs, 66 RBIs. So way less RBIs than the prior few years. Similar home run totals, but basically was on path to be similar as last year in terms of like average and all that. So another good year from Gary Steiner. Sixto was pretty damn good since coming back from his injury, it looks like, because his batting average improved. So a 293, but for some reason he's on decline, which I don't really like, considering he is still signed for a good chunk of change. But hopefully he doesn't drop off too hard, because that would not be great. But yeah, he's been a career really good player. Like his 913 career OPS might be one of the best on this team. Then we have our boy Ozzy, who had a great year again. 24 home runs. So one of his best seasons in terms of the home run department. 102 RBIs. So that's 3 seasons now in his career with over 100 RBIs. And he batted a 324, 929 OPS. Ozzy is consistently the man. And yeah, he's going to be making more money going forward every single year, which is a bit risky. But at the same time, we had to do a backloaded contract because of all the other guys. But I am glad that we have him locked up still, because obviously this guy's going to hit well still for, I'd say, another few years at least before he starts to decline a bit. Ray McMahon really wasn't that good since recovering over, well, not recovering over, but coming in for Pinheiro, who got injured. Only a 169 average, so hopefully he improves on that in the playoffs, because we know he does really good at the AAA level, so hopefully at the MLB level he could find that hitting again. Last year when he played with us, he was batting at 261, so he was pretty solid then. Jeff Pipp, not the best stats. I don't know how much longer Jeff Pipp is with this team, because like only 6 home runs and 39 RBIs. through 82 games isn't really the best. His average also not the best. The OPS not the best. Like, him and Schneider are definitely two big wild cards. I'd like to keep at least one of them, because if we lose both of them, our third base department plummets quite a bit. But yeah, I don't really like that. We could always try just using Ray McMahon as a third baseman next season instead of a shortstop, because we do have Pinheiro, obviously. So we could always do that instead of bringing back both Pip and Schneider. But I think both of them are on a very short leash on who wants to actually come back for another season on this team. Pineda was pretty solid in terms of home runs and RBIs, like he normally is. Not a guy that's going to hit for average, but a guy that's going to bring in some home runs and drive in those runs, which is great. Bill O'Donnell kind of regressed a bit from last year, which is unfortunate, but I don't think this guy's going to develop much more than this. He's already 28, so he probably will be on decline soon. He is a pending free agent, so I don't know how much longer he's here as well. Like, I'd like to keep all these guys, obviously, because if we lose a bunch of players, we're going to fall off. But if his asking price is astronomical, who knows how much longer he's here. And same with Ollie Gelman, same type of boat. 14 home runs, which is almost a career high. Not a career high in RBIs, but solid batting average, solid OPS. Like, he's definitely the better of the outfielders, I would say, other than Steiner. And then we head to our bench options. I do really like the play from Brad Thornton, who came in to be an injury replacement for Sixto. He was pretty damn good. 11 home runs, 36 RBIs is nice. The average obviously is not going to be nice because his vision and discipline's not there, but once again, another guy that could kind of bring in some runs, which is really great to have off the bench. And then we head over to Josh Groves, who had a really good season off the bench. 8 home runs, 27 RBIs, a 291 average. So, yeah, he had a pretty damn good season off the bench, and hopefully he continues to build up on that, because he should be a full-time roster player maybe next season as like one of our center fielding options. And then hopefully he could do good for us in the playoffs again in those big spots if we need him off the bench. Now, Steve Schneider, like I was saying, I am not sold on his play at all. Like, him and Pip really had terrible seasons. This was his worst season probably in, 4 years. A 222 average, only 7 home runs, 32 RBIs. So at least some hitting is okay, but the average is terrible. The OPS is okay. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's not the best either, obviously. So hopefully we get more out of Steve Schneider. Johannes Berg, though, this guy came in and was really good. He was a Rule 5 pickup, and he is definitely what I needed, kind of. Just like a guy that could hit the ball also off the bench in case of guys getting injured, that type of thing. He batted .295, 747 OPS. Not really a huge home run guy, but he does have that contact hitting, which is really nice. That vision and discipline also being way up there helps him actually get that average to being pretty good. So, really like Johannes Berg's play. So there is that. Now I'll show you guys quickly skim through these league leaders. You can see like Ozzy was up there in a lot of things. Same with Trevino. Gelman was up there in like doubles. Like, in general, we had a lot of guys up there in terms of offensive stats. But our pitching definitely took a step back this year again, with Garth Howe not doing as well as he normally does. But you can see Ozzy and Trevino both 4 and 5 in OPS, which is really nice. So there's that. Dennis Lake was up there in saves, though, so at least we're getting some good relief pitching, it seems like. But starting pitching is kind of up in the air. And you can see Osuna was up there in shutouts, so he kind of was a great replacement for Gary McAllister. So hoping that he has a good playoffs ahead of him as a rookie. Him and Garth Howe both up there in strikeouts. So Osuna doing his job, and that's why he won Rookie of the Year this year. And there is all that. Then we'll take a look here at those award winners. I'll skim through this a little bit again as well, but you can see Ozzy was close to winning a batting title this year, but missed out because Mackenzie Little's an insane machine. But Dennis Lake very close to winning Reliever of the Year, but just missed out on it because Tovar took it instead. Osuna did win Rookie of the Year, though, which, like I said, is fantastic. I don't know if we've had a Rookie of the Year since Cardenas, since Ozzy, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe somebody else won it too. But we got another Rookie of the Year, which is great. So there is all of that. Also, you can see Ozzy won Gold Glove for first base, as he normally does. Trevino just missed out on his because Tremar Johnson, who knocked us out in the playoffs last year, took it instead. And that is pretty much it, aside from the Silver Sluggers, which you could see here that Trevino won a Silver Slugger, so that's nice. Pinheiro was close to winning one, but unfortunately his injury knocked him off that list. Because if he was healthy through the entire year, he could have probably taken it, but it would have been tough to take it over O'Neal Cruz, my guess. So there is all that. Now, since we are technically in the spot that Toronto was last year, I hope that I mean, it might be us versus either Boston or Minnesota. I don't know who I would prefer. Minnesota's who we knocked out last year, right? Or was it Minnesota that we played last year in the wild card game? I feel like it was. I think it was. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty certain on that. So it might be a rematch of last year, or we might have to play Boston, which would be interesting nonetheless. But there is that. Let's go to the season stats, because I did want to show you guys this as well, like team rankings. You could see batting average wise, we are number 2. We are like just a really good offensive team. Diamondbacks are also a really good offensive team. But then the problem for us mostly, I mean, we're up there in home runs. So yeah, offense, great stuff, like stolen bases even. Pretty much everything on the offensive front is decent. But then, like I was saying, pitching is always a problem for this team. And if we go to ERA-wise, you can see we finished at 20th. And it's a pretty big gap between us and 19th. So our pitching is definitely going to be our biggest question mark this postseason. We need to pitch well, or else we're going to be a bit problematic in terms of that. We were up there, though, like in complete games, and kind of up there in shutouts. But, like, yeah, just, I don't know. And I hope that Dennis Lake kind of redeems himself for last year, because he was one of the best relievers, like I said. We only had 15 blown saves, which was the lowest amount in the MLB. So, yeah, we're a good offensive team, but we need to improve on the defensive side of things, because we are 21st in runs allowed. But you can see that we are also, when our runs scored, we were probably like number 1, right? Or like number 2. So, it's a bit weird. Let me quickly also show you guys the standings. And you can see where we finished, basically above our division. Both the Rangers and Angels were 500 on the season. Everybody else well below it. Mariners were not that good this year, but yeah, we managed to run away with our division. In terms of the entire teams that are in the MLB's playoffs still remaining, you can see that we finished 3 wins above the Blue Jays. So that's why we won ours. The White Sox were fantastic this year, so if we have to face them again in the ALCS, it will be a very tough task, because they could play actually defensively, which we can't really. But yeah, they had 97 wins, so that would be tough. If we play the Red Sox, if they get through the wild card, they won 86 games, so that might be a bit of a tough task for us. But you can see also, like in the NL, the Giants had 90 wins. The Diamondbacks had 108 wins and only 54 losses. So they doubled their losses, or their wins, to loss ratio. The Diamondbacks could easily pull off a back-to-back, but will they be able to do it? You could just see that we're not the best team that's in the playoffs. The Phillies, who made it with Ned Thompson, were 89 and 73. So we're definitely not the best team that's in the playoffs, which is a bit scary. I really hope that the Phillies don't win the World Series before us, because they were not doing too well a few years ago. But then Ned Thompson came in and was probably a beast for them. I actually want to take a look at that quickly before we see who we're going to be facing in the next round. How did Ned Thompson do? Because if we could have had Ned Thompson, but unfortunately we missed out on him. And yeah, what a season from him. That's his first full season in the MLB. Not the best batting average, I would say, but it's still good. But home runs, 28 of them, 95 RBIs. And then they just recently drafted a franchise catcher who will likely come into the MLB next season and replace guys like Pena. Yikes. Okay, let's take a look and see who we're facing. Who is going to get in through the wild card matchup? Who is going to get in through the wild card? It's going to be Boston. And Sparbore's time on the injured list is about to finish, but he'll be injured for another 3 to 4 weeks, so we still got to add him to another little bit. How do I add him to more of that player action? Oh, I can't add him yet to that other thing, but we'll have to add his list time a little bit longer. But yeah, we're going to be taking on Boston in next episode in the ALDS. So we have 2 home games, 2 road games, and a home game potentially. But I hope we have an easier time with them. They were the 3rd best team in the AL, so they were the best team that finished below us, technically. And then you have the White Sox in Tampa. So Toronto got knocked out by the 5 seed. So that's interesting. Boston took out Minnesota in easily 2 games. And then you have Colorado, Philadelphia. Colorado's already up 1-0 on Philly. Colorado almost went to the World Series last year, which is kind of crazy. Miami's up 1-0 on Arizona. That's a bit of a surprise. Wow. Okay, let's take a look at Boston. We know they have Mackenzie Little, which is that scary player. They also have a good reliever who won Reliever of the Year. So I think this is going to be a tough team for us to play. Let's see. What is Boston looking like? I think this is going to be definitely a tough wildcard team to play. I really hope we can win this. Like, hopefully our pitching does much better. Boston's all the way up there. Their rotation isn't insanely good. Like, they don't have, like, a #1 ace type of guy, but they have still Darren Vasquez, who's kind of dropping off, apparently, which is a little bit weird. Lucius Leggett, who had apparently some good pitching in the wildcard game. Hopefully they're a bit tired because of the wildcard games. Franklin Forbes, also pretty solid numbers. Then I also have Bill Fiorentino and Jamie Telshaw. I was thinking of Rick Telshaw from our minors before. Relief pitch-wise, I have Luis Gil, James Harrison, Yusniel Gutierrez, Bubba Chandler, what a name, AJ Alexi, Mitch O'Rourke, Michael Sueikos, and Michael Tovar, who, like I said, was closer of the year, reliever of the year. So yeah, they definitely have a good bullpen, and their starters are pretty solid. So yeah, pitching is going to be definitely tough against them, I think. Batting wise, what do they have in their lineup? Well, other than Mackenzie Little, we know Mackenzie Little's a stud. They have Rich Smith, 82 overall, batted at .375 in the wild card series. Doug Harrell, who had not batted yet. And yeah, there's Mackenzie Little. Not a great performance from him in the wild card, but we know that this guy's a stud. And yeah, this is a scary player to go up against. I really hope that we could somehow find a way to stifle this guy, because he's only played 4 years, but he already looks like a vet. Like the last 3 of his 4 years in the MLB, he's batted a .320 plus. Yeah, this guy's insane. He's only got 1 year of ARB left, so Boston might lose him soon. But definitely they're trying to win with him as much as possible. Logan O'Hoop, 88 overall catcher. Pretty solid. Nick York. Yeah, I would say they're batting. Oh my goodness. Sean Gordon had a friggin' crazy not World Series, what am I saying? Wild Card Series. A .625 average. I don't think he's going to keep that up, but still, jeez, man. Oh my goodness, Boston has a guy named Johnny Boston. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. They also have Miguel Blay and Trey Sweeney. And off the bench, you have Eric Adling, Justin Crawford, Enrique Ariano, and Taryn Vavra. Yeah, I like their batting order as well. I like their batting players for sure. I think they're definitely going to be a tough task. Like, they might be a wild card team, but they were the best team, like I said, that finished below us. Because if we look on paper, we were 88-74. They were, where's them? They were 86-76. Actually, yeah, we can't take a look at the runs allowed and stuff anymore. That's unfortunate. But technically, they are the 6th best in contact, 17th in power, 4th in pitching, 5th in defense, 9th in speed. So they're a good defensive team, which we technically aren't. But we are technically better contact-wise, better power-wise. Our pitching is better than theirs. But that defensive rating is much better for them. And that speed is pretty similar too. So it's going to be definitely a good matchup, I think. But I am just a little bit scared, because obviously we want to get back to the ALCS at least. Because anything else kind of feels like we're kind of trending backwards a bit. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Vancouver Rain Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the ALDS against the Boston Red Sox. as we look to get to the ALCS against either the White Sox or the Tampa Bay Rays. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.